you're wondering what a situationship is, it's this. It's those 3 to 4 to 5 month relationships where you're really into someone, things are amazing. It's like you're in the honeymoon phase. You're like, I'm head over heels for them. You start to envision a life together with the family and the dog and the house, and you go on the trips. And it's just like everything's perfect and amazing. And then all of a sudden one day the person starts pulling away and you're like, what's going on? Why are you acting this way? Like, you're not supposed to act this way. Like, we're supposed to always be together and sending text messages and planning our vacations. Like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden they just dump you out of nowhere.
Oh, woman, you silly little simple simpleton. They didn't dump you out of nowhere. In fact, the signs were there, you just actively decided to ignore them, and that's not the same thing. This man made it abundantly obvious from the get-go that he was only interested in one thing, and trust me, sister, it wasn't your personality or cunning intellect. You'd actually have to possess those in order for a man to be interested. No, he was more interested in the low-effort bedroom fun that you were more than eager to provide. And you confuse emotional bonding with physical fun. You think bedroom fun makes people happy, and that's because it's the only way for you to feel happy. But men like Chadifer Columbus find contentment in life in other places. The bedroom fun for him is just a bonus. But he makes it clear that he is not interested in anything more than that. But you ignore what he says because it destroys your fantasy. And the second you try to make that fantasy a reality, he's done because the fun is no longer worth the effort.
And so it's called a situationship because it's kind of like, okay, I have a situation, I'm with this person, and we used to be super in love, or maybe we just like really liked each other, and then out of nowhere, things just started to like fizzle out, and then they just totally did like a 180, and they either like ghost you or they dump you, and it just like, you're left heartbroken. So you call it a situationship because it's like, that is the situation. And so the situation can change from the beginning being like in love to the end being dumped and heartbroken to after the heartbreak of you start to enter into the process of, okay, I want to get them back. I want to make them jealous. I'll do whatever it takes to get them mad. Like, you start going delusional because you just want them back so badly, or you want to get back at them. And so that's the situation at the very end of the relationship.
You know, I hate to break it to you, sister, but the delusion started about 34 seconds after your first walk of shame. By that point, you were so far gone and there was no hope for you. You've deluded yourself into thinking your feelings for this guy were completely mutual and that for some reason, unbeknownst to you, they just magically changed out of nowhere. But they didn't. He never had those feelings for you in the first place. And then to add even more delusional dry wood to this dumpster fire, you think you're going to somehow make him jealous when he doesn't even remember your freaking name by that point. But that's only if he remembered it in the first place, because that's the best kind of situationship you could ever hope for. If you try to use these manipulative tactics against Tyrone in the form of trying to make him jealous, it reminds him that he didn't dodge a bullet. He straight up neo-dodged a frickin' artillery strike.
So all in all, if you're in a relationship with someone and you actually haven't put that label of boyfriend and girlfriend on the relationship, then you're in a situationship and it might not end well. So I would recommend having the conversation of being like, what the hell are we? I know no one wants to hear that, but like, listen, if you don't know if you're boyfriend and girlfriend, then you're basically either like hooking up or you're in a situationship. And if you like the person and you want to be boyfriend and girlfriend and you're not, then you're basically just like, you know, putting yourself through hell for no reason. So I hope this helps.
There is a reason, Toots. You're putting yourself through hell because deep down you want an emotional connection with a guy who's made it clear that he's only interested in the sludge tunnel of musty insecurity that you're packing betwixt your legs. He refuses to answer your "what are we" conversation because he's not interested in pursuing something serious. There's nothing serious to pursue. You're a walking, talking bag of damaged goods who refuses to even acknowledge that you have some serious trust issues, baggage, and an incapability to be submissive. What kind of self-respecting man would want that? But I guess the good news is because of your outlandish standards for Ray Ray, no average man is going to have to deal with you and your blatant failures either. So how's that for a silver lining on the dookie-colored rainbow?
Good philosophy. See good in bad, I like. If you're over 20 and you've never had a boyfriend and you feel like guys just aren't interested in you, I feel like it has more to do with ourselves rather than the guys, because sometimes people are interested in you and you just can't tell. And this has a lot to do with self-confidence and being sure of yourself, and also being able to read signals. You have to think of it like this. If people are around you and they're more introverted, yet they still are looking to be in your vicinity, they're looking to be around you, they're starting conversations with you, all of that has to do with the fact that they are interested in you.
Really?
Outside of profoundly specific circumstances that don't really apply to the majority of modern women, if you're over the age of 20 and you've never had a serious relationship before, then you only have yourself to blame. Modern women refuse to believe that there are any good men out there, that in order to find them, you need to be able to decipher ancient texts from the dead civilizations of yore. But the only problem is most of the good men are average, and average is an insult to the modern woman. You don't want average, at least not right away. You'll begrudgingly settle for an average man when it's clear that they're better than nothing, and then you'll put that man through hell as you blame him for ruining your life and future. All because the man you could get isn't the one that you thought you could nab. You'd have better luck if you didn't think that all average men were nefarious creepers from the get-go. You've already turned your foot into Swiss cheese with the amounts of times you keep shooting yourself.
So if someone tries to start a conversation, if someone wants to be around you, they are interested 100%, especially when it's coming from a guy. And guys, usually they will approach you if they have some kind of interest, and then sometimes it develops into a friendship, but still they want to be around people that they are interested in, just like you. And if you find that they don't approach you, and if you find that you're not getting any signals whatsoever, then I feel like this has a lot more to do with presenting yourself as being approachable.
Say what now? What now?
All right, let's go there. Let's talk about signs and signals. They're just a massive contradiction that you use to justify your terrible behavior. I'll explain. If you're talking to Chad and he is not throwing out any signals that he's actually interested in you, you'll ignore that and either conjure up signs that don't exist or tell yourself he just needs to get to know you for the signals to show up later. And when the everyday man who does approach you gives you crystal clear signs that he's interested, you'll imagine excuses to make yourself feel insulted or unsafe. And then you put that man at a major disadvantage and with potential legal risk considering your impulse control issues. And this is exactly why men don't bother approaching anymore. It's like running face first into a brick wall. Can you do it? Sure, but is there any point? Unless you're a cartoon coyote chasing after a mean-spirited bird who constantly mocks him for doing what a coyote does, then there really isn't. Seriously, the Roadrunner can go to hell. I don't care what anybody says.
Because sometimes, and I talk about this, like pretty girl syndrome and all these kinds of things that I've made videos on, it's like people think that you've got it all anyways. They think, oh, she's too pretty, or she's too this and that, and she looks unapproachable, she looks arrogant. And sometimes because of the fact that we got so used to being alone, and we got so used to the fact that nobody approaches us, that we're kind of on guard. So basically we're trying to protect ourselves from any sort of outside input, because we're just so good at being alone that we give off that vibe of like, don't approach me because I'm gonna push you away.
Does anybody else feel kind of embarrassed that we have to explain this to her? Because it's not complicated, sister. Men don't approach you because you are arrogant and insufferable. I don't know what it is about semi-good looking women who think they're so pretty that it intimidates men, but if you have that attitude, it oozes out of your pores like decades-old sewer sludge, and it's quite literally repulsive. You're stuck up, entitled, and have a bad attitude towards the majority of the male population, so no man is willing to risk dealing with that. The only reason why you have this guard up is because you're blocking out the men you don't want in hopes that one perfect man will see you and see something in you that the dozen other Chads just ignored and make you his girlfriend, so you can finally make that video about how hard you had to struggle until you finally found that man who completes you. But that day will never come, sister. And even if you did make that video, he'll see it and immediately tell you that he was never your boyfriend before leaving.
Sometimes people can feel that. It's an energy thing. So what I would suggest, if you are interested in attracting people into your life, just smile. Honestly, that's the only thing that I would change, is just smiling and giving that open and interested energy, and then that's going to be reciprocated.
No.
It's kind of depressing that we live in a world where single women are so incapable of smiling that they need to be told to do so in order to attract men. The modern world is so miserable for these broads that they've completely forgot the basic nuances of being able to smile. But when you consider how many of these broads are on prescription medications, is it any real wonder why they're like this? Modern women are miserable. They're so broken that they're dependent on external factors in order to feel anything that's not crushing misery. This is why men are going their own way and focusing on themselves. Self-respecting men don't want to be with someone who's incapable of even smiling without being told. And to be blunt, we deserve better treatment. And unlike these chicks, we actually have the ability to improve ourselves and enjoy what life has to offer. And that's because we take accountability, learn from our mistakes, and work to become better people. Plus, we also get to watch awesome movies, play video games, and just have a good time without you, sister. So that's win-win for us.
Hell yeah!
Men are so glad that they're not the ones who have to get pregnant and give birth, but they are also so mad that we're the ones that do. It's the basis of like all oppression of women. If you control reproduction, you control everything. You control the economy, you control how many soldiers they have for wars, you control how many capitalists they have to consume, you control who's in the future. Like if women have the power to decide if and when we want to become mothers, that's also the power to decide which men get to become fathers. And I don't think a lot of men want to live in the world where they have to prove to women that they are worthy of continuing their legacy and having children.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Oh, hi, Agnes. It's been a while. I'd ask how you've been, but I really don't care. How's the barren womb? Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations on your failure to accept basic reality, by the way. Because we do live in a world where women choose whether or not they want to be mothers. The law is pretty much on their side in this regard. Men get zero say in this. If a woman wants to have a baby, then it's her right as a mother. And if she doesn't, then she's a boss bae yas queen who's sticking it to the patriarchy. If a man doesn't want to be a father, then he's a deadbeat who should have used protection. And if he does want to be a father and the woman doesn't want the baby, then he's a controlling freak who doesn't get to tell you what to do with your body. The world is set up so that women get the ultimate choice and men have to accept it either way. And Agnes, for the record, whenever you have bedroom fun with a man, you are quite literally telling him that he is worthy to be the father of your children. That is the whole point of bedroom fun. I just thought I'd point that out, Agnes. You seem a little extra thick-headed today.
The #1 cause of death for pregnant women, more than the top 3 obstetric causes of death, like hemorrhage, blood clots, is literally being by a man. I think it makes some men so angry that they cannot control something so important. Like they've won, they run the world, they control everything, but they cannot control the source of life. There's such power in controlling the source of life, and only we can control that. The only way they can take control is by force, violence, and laws, which they do.
That does not make sense.
Looks like I'm gonna have to hit you both barrels today, Agnes, but the law is on your side. In fact, all of society is on your side. You are not a victim, Agnes. You are the perpetrator. You've convinced yourself and society that because you have a womb, that makes you the most powerful person on the planet. So important that you need to claw your fingers every single time you talk. But for some reason, you always ignore the fact that it takes a man's DNA in order for something to grow inside that baby maker you never use. And when you add in the blatantly clear fact that you are the one who controls access to that particular department, and that you are the one making all of the decisions about someone who wants to breed with you, the men don't get much of a say. So if you're controlling the bedroom, and you're the one selecting the man for his DNA, then how is it that the men are controlling everything? I'm not gonna wait for your answer this time, Agnes, because I don't have 6 years for you to wait to come up with a response.
Which is why attacks on reproductive freedoms, on birth control, abortion, women's healthcare in general, it's not about life. It's not about religious freedom. It's not about women's health and safety. It's about control. It's about controlling women. It's about men being so mad that we can control one thing, the most important thing that they cannot control. They were not given that power and we were, and they are so mad about it.
Nobody cares what you think.
Okay, Agnes, answer me this. If men are these all-powerful oppressors and they're the ones who want to control you, then how come they haven't been pushing more legislation to control your quote-unquote reproductive rights? You're basing this whole rant on a US Supreme Court decision that you've grossly misinterpreted because you're mentally weak, easily led, and so lazy that you can't even be bothered to do your own research. Most men couldn't care less what you do with your body, and most of us couldn't care if you give birth or not. It's your life. Do whatever the hell you want with it. If you waste your time blaming us for your blunders, then that's your business, Agnes. But the only reason why you go on these painfully misinformed rants is because your life is so meaningless and devoid of any legitimate strife that you need to invent these scenarios in your brain to make it seem like your life is somehow harder than it is. And because it's beyond your control, you don't have to do anything to fix it. But considering your idiocy, even if you had a pop-up book that was a step-by-step guide on how to fix your life, you'd still be incapable of doing anything about it. Yes, Agnes, you truly are that useless. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button. Ring the notification bell and leave a couple of comments, and make sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out the new video, and until next time, peace out, homies.